So what happened is the Kubota reached its maintenance hours. It was 50 hours. So I got new fuel filters, new oil filters, transmission, new fluids, all those things, and wanted to change it. So it was weird timing, but anyway, I was getting the stuff. I was in the process of getting the stuff and using the tractor, and I was coming up the hill over there. Showed you guys the hill before, just past the 4Runner down there, and it kept puttering, and it just wouldn't have like full power. Putter, and then like want to stall but not stall, and then it would get progressively worse where it would just start to stall. And then I'm trying to figure it out. So what I thought is, well, maybe it's the fuel filters now, like, you know, maybe because not knowing that much about it, 58 hours, I don't know, fuel's dirty, or who knows, right? Like, I don't know. So I just figured, let's do that stuff first. So we gave it the new fuel filters, we gave it the new oil and oil filter, try to turn back on for, you know, less than a few seconds, and then it wouldn't turn back on again at all. So I made some phone calls to the service department, and they said to check. First it was the cap, the gas cap, which to me is a strange thing that it's even a thing, but you know, whatever. But sometimes the gas cap can go bad because it needs an airflow, you know, at the top. Sometimes the seal can go bad, and with the hours that it is, I didn't really suspect that's what it was, but you know, work through the process. And then they were trying to say that it could be something in the gas tank, which actually kind of made sense because it sounded like it wasn't getting fuel. And they just started to ask me all these questions like, you know, where do I keep it? What kind of fuel do I use? You know, to try to decipher whether or not it was something actually in a tank. And the funny part is the guy says, well, just drop the tank and clean it out. And I'm like, bro, like, you said that like it's just something that can be like, just real quick, you drop the tank. I'm like, man, like, this is like a project, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't even know if that's what it is, you know? And, you know, it's just, you know, some talking to some of these people, I think they take for granted that they're actually, you know, they're in a shop that has the tools and they have the know-how, and it's like, you know, just drop the gas tank. Like, you have to take all this off. Like, you have to take the fender off, you have to take all this control stuff off. The tank actually goes down underneath the seat, so I can't even imagine, you know, how involved. You probably got to take the seat off, right? I don't know, I mean, I'm just guessing, but I'm like, dude, is there not, you know, another way? And he's like, so through this process, I'm starting to figure out for myself as I'm thinking. I'm like, well, you know, what else could it be? You know, why would it be that? And he's describing, he's like, they find bees and spiders and all kinds of stuff inside of the tanks whenever they do this. So they take all that off, and he's always saying that it's usually typically an older vehicle or something that's around a place where it's really dirty or really, you know, messed up or whatever the case is. You know, it tends to get inside when you're fueling it up. And then he said sometimes the fuel's even really dirty. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, why, if diesel fuel is inherently, you know, comes dirty and messed up and stuff like that, and you have problems with, you know, if stuff gets in there, right? If stuff gets in there, it doesn't work. The machine doesn't work. So, you know, here's my mind says, why is there not a filter right there, right? Like, it should come with like some kind of cap or cup that pre-filters the stuff as you pour it in. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even make, so like talking to these service guys, they're like, yeah, we have a lot of problems with stuff going in there. Stuff goes in there all the time and messes up the machine, so it doesn't work. So like a bee or a spider going inside of here can shut this whole, you know, $30,000 machine down. And it's like, so nobody's ever thought that like this should come, you know, with a filter on top. You know, something that you pour through, something that, you know, I just don't understand how that's not a thought. It's like there's entire groups of people that are just like, yeah, it's just a thing. It's like, what, you know, there's a way you can stop stuff from going in there, right? Like, there's like, if you put a screen or a filter, you know, something like that, mishap happens, right? You know, you drop something while it's open, you know, there should be something there. Like, I mean, why is there not, right? It's just crazy to me that, like, I don't know, like, you have these conversations and they look at you and you're talking to them, and a pause in the conversation is like, you know, something they've never heard before, but like, I'm a dummy for even mentioning it like that. I mean, I'm like, well, why is there not a filter at the top? You know, if a bug can stop this giant machine from stopping if it goes in that hole, why is there not a filter at the top? So, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there's some aftermarket thing. That's what they're like telling me about. I'm like, it should come with it. But you know, this is just me ranting a little bit, because this is stuff is like just common sense, right? Like, it's an extremely expensive machine, and like, of course it's going to be in dirty spots. That's what it does, right? Like, I mean, it's, of course it's going to be grass and dirt and bugs, and like, that's what it does. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed to be anywhere else, right? Like, I mean, who else uses these in a place where there's not dirt and grass and bugs, right? But anyway, like, I had to get that little rant in because I find it entertaining whenever I see the most obvious fixes to some of these problems. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, you know, fabricate my own kind of filter for that cap, you know, just underneath it, so that, you know, when we pour through or when it's open, you know, it can filter the dirty diesel, or, you know, stop anything from falling in there. So I'll do a quick little, like, short video about that once I get that together. What this video was about is that it wasn't the gas tank, because what I did was I went down underneath when I pulled the fuel filter, which is, let's see, that one right there. I pulled that one out, and then, you know, because I had already replaced it once, I pulled that one out, and there was gas pouring out of it. Now that goes, you know, that hose that connects to this goes straight to the gas tank, and then it goes to there. That's the fuel pump that pushes, so you have enough to push the pressure to push through the filters. Then it goes, you know, there's another one. It goes up, and then it goes, you know, to this one, and then into the engine, right? So I take, this is after I already replaced everything once. I've had these off 3 times now. But this is all the new stuff. So I replaced that, and then it wouldn't work. So then they say it could be something stuck in the gas tank. So I'm thinking, this is coming straight from the gas tank. Let's pull it off and see if there's fuel. Like, if fuel comes out, it's not the gas tank, right? So I pull it off, I pull that little hose off, and fuel just starts spewing out, the whole thing. Like, just the flow that it regularly should. And then I'm thinking, okay, so what if, you know, it's something else? So the easiest way for me to figure it out was what I did. It goes, you know, we're thinking, I'm thinking A to B, right? So gas tank, right? Gas tank, fuel filter, fuel pump, and then another filter to the engine. So let's bypass that stuff. This off, and attach the funnel to that right there. And I held it up so that gravity would push it down. And so now if that worked, then that means it's getting fuel and the engine's actually working, and it has nothing to do with the engine. And then I'm using this fuel filter just to make sure nothing dirty goes through, just for a short, you know, like a small funnel. And I took a video of that, and I'll show that to you right now. So as you can see, that was, you know, that was just an experiment. That's how, you know, it worked, right? It made me figure out, so that it was getting fuel, the engine was turning over, and the fuel is coming out of the gas tank. That, you know, all these service people were trying to lead me to believe that that's what it was. Now, there's only one thing in between those two things. So it has 2 new filters, and there's one thing in between it, the fuel pump. So that's what the problem was. 50 hours in, fuel pump goes bad. and we just replaced it now. And I was kind of just crossing my fingers, this is really simple. It's 2 bolts. You can see one right there. I don't know if I can get a good view, but there's another one just like it on the other side on a tab, just like it. There's nothing to it. Then there's a little wiring harness. You just pull the wiring harness, pull the 2 bolts out. The weird part is on this one, they were 2 different size bolts. It was like 12 millimeter on one side, 10 millimeter on the other side. I don't quite understand why, but, and then, you know, you pull the hose off. You take the clamps off, you pull the hose off, and that's it. It's pretty much a plug and play. So, did that. And then we turned it on, which I'll just do now. And it started right up. So that's what it was. And the truth is that talking to these service people, none of them wanted to hear that that was actually what it could have been, but that's what it was. So I made this video because, you know, partly because I wanted to rant about how there should be a filter screen on that, especially because it's so widely known, and secondarily because you know, these are the types of videos that help me. Again, being a beginner, being new, being a newbie, I don't know anything about this stuff. I see a lot of videos from a lot of guys that, you know, they're very well versed and they know their stuff. And a lot of it is, you know, there's assumptions made from these guys and people, and there's nothing wrong with these videos. It's just like they're kind of directed towards people that might already know something about it. Me knowing nothing about it would find a video like this helpful because, you know, it helps to troubleshoot the problem. It wasn't, the part was like 165 bucks. So, you know, it's not cheap, and they're going to warranty that out. They're just going to, I paid for it, and then they're going to reimburse me after they warranty it out. But like I said, I mean, this scenario, I don't know, it's just kind of a whole strange thing, even with the fuel thing in the top. But I hope this video is helpful to somebody else, because when I searched for something like this, it was all just replacing the fuel filters, you know. Replace the fuel filters, you know, even the one was drop the gas tank, which is, I hope I don't ever have to do that. But I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Leave some comments, let me know what you think. All right, you guys have a good day.